Mic'd up.
Uh, you know, we've probably had more complaints or we've lost more viewers
I don't care.
because that idiotic song of yours. But anyway, listen, I appreciate it. I'm that it makes you happy. Whatever makes you
It's
happy,
the little
Michael.
things in life.
So little to look forward to on today, tax day. But
Well, the Yankees decided to win a game.
Yankees did win a game, and it was nice. I didn't see it. I watched it afterwards, and I swear, when I was thinking, God, how are they going to win this without, leading off without Giancarlo? I thought that ball was, going to land in left
Well,
field,
what's
and
interesting, what's interesting to me is it looks like Caballero had a really good game defensively and offensively. He
yeah,
was
big
clutch.
one.
He seems to have the clutch offensive gene,
Yeah, and that's not something that
which
they have.
which is always nice. If you're going to be a 220 hitter, the best you should be. If you're going to hit 220 or 186 in his case,
Hmm.
you better have the clutch gene, and he clearly has the clutch gene.
There it is.
So you
So
gotta like that.
I'm looking here. Did Grisham actually play today?
Grichuk. Oh, so yeah, Grichuk played. So this. I had some stuff written down.
Hmm.
One of the funniest things that I heard was in the ninth inning. First thing that O'Neill says is if that Grichuk has to be getting loose in the dugout,
Hmm.
getting ready to run for Stanton, but that's wrong because when another thing we'll talk about when Goldschmidt pinch hit for Grisham,
Hmm.
Grichuk went to left field and Bellinger went to center. So Grichuk was already in the game,
Yeah.
and O'Neill did not know it, and that
Well,
bothered the hell out of me.
not the brightest bulb, though a very smart baseball man. But I love tonight they were talking about impressionist art. They were saying um, that the MLB
Harmon
logo is
Killebrew,
Harmon Killebrew, but that if you look at it, it's both a lefty and a righty hitter.
if you look at it correctly, yeah.
So he says, I always find that amazing. Like you go to art and you go to a French museum and you look at art and some of the art follows you around the
Mona
room.
Lisa. They talked about the Mona Lisa.
Exactly. It's so funny. And you always got to think, I don't think I don't think uh, that Michael Kay is an intellectual, but I'm sure he imagines himself to be one.
I am
And
sure. What I will say about this is, while I am not a really big fan of the way that O'Neill and Kay call the game, their
Mhm,
conversations between the two of them are really, really good. I
yeah.
do enjoy when they have those conversations. I
Hmm.
do. Nelson was able, and it seems to me that O'Neill and Kay are actually really good friends. I do feel the same way about Cone and Kay as
Hmm.
well, that they are
Yeah.
friends. Whereas I think Girardi is much more of a professional, not personal friendship situation. And
Yeah.
that's probably because Girardi was the manager and Kay was the announcer, whereas Cone and O'Neill were players, and you build relationship with players. The
Yeah.
other thing that O'Neill did today that I thought was frustrating was in the bottom of the fourth. He said he talked to Aaron Boone today, and Aaron Boone said he's very frustrated by the inconsistency in the offense, that they'll score a ton of runs one day and then they don't score the next.
Really?
And O'Neill's response was, well, the Yankees are too good for that. And my response is, no, they're not. This is their offense, and this is what they are by design, is they
Right.
are designed to be a team that does not frequently, although they've done it more in these first 20 games or 17 games, I guess 18 games now, in these
Hmm.
18 games than they did in the first 20 games last year. They don't manufacture runs. They are designed with slugging percentage in mind. That
Hmm.
being the case, in the bottom of the ninth, Jazz and Wells stealing on that play,
And then taking the extra base. I
and
mean, that
Wells taking the
was
extra base, which I
beautiful.
agree with. Make the other team make a play, especially when they threw the ball to the shortstop and
Yeah.
not to home plate. It just, and it was a great slide by Wells. Wells has showed himself, as infrequently as he's gotten on base as a 191 hitter. He's shown himself to be a very good base runner.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, would they give him a stolen base? They'll give him the stolen base. And today he was running and he just kept running. He also
That's
did
right.
what I think that more players need to do. He bunted down the third base line,
I loved
and
that.
that
I
was
loved
that
it.
was fantastic. The Yankees were down a run, and he tried to get on base for it. You got to love
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, I
It
was
was
very
smart baseball.
pleased.
Caballero tried to lay down a bunt today too, at the bottom
Yeah,
of the order for a hit. He bunted it foul. He was too
there's.
fine with it, but they also play in for him. Um,
How about that
Stanton looked
play?
terrible. Stanton looked terrible for 3 at bats, and then ripped that ball. Michael Kay
Mhm.
reported it as 107 miles an hour,
Yeah,
but if you look at the MLB website, they have it at 96.4. Either
yeah.
one, he smashed it. But it's very
That's.
funny that Michael Kay said 107. So I'm sure he didn't pluck that out of thin air. I'm sure he plucked it off of the screen there.
Hmm.
They have it on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Um,
How about
but it was,
Chisholm with his
the way they
Chisholm
won
play?
this game was very interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
The Jazz's pop up. What was that? Where did that go? Talk about blowing a game.
yeah,
How would you feel if you got amazing play in left field, then you have the second out, game's going to be over, pop up, and the drop? I mean, I couldn't believe
it
that
didn't drop. They didn't drop
miscommunication.
it. They just let it fall between them.
Yeah,
And
they were looking at each other.
it's Romano has to be like, and it's not an error. I don't think they gave an error on the play. Um,
They gave Chisholm a hit.
Yeah. And Chisholm didn't run slowly to first base, but he certainly didn't bust a gut. And I think once he didn't bust a gut, not going to second was good, although he should have stole,
Hmm.
but it didn't make a difference because Wells walked anyhow. Um,
Correct.
but what I found interesting about this is the way that they ran the bullpen out there. I, you know, they had Hendrick warming up in the fifth inning when
Hmm.
Hill was winding down clearly, but they brought in Hill, then they brought in Cruz, then they brought in Hedrick, and then obviously Bednar. I was very surprised. When is their other multi-inning reliever besides Blackburn going to get into a game? What are they using Yarborough for now? I'm curious. I would have thought that being down 4-3 in the top of the sixth, that would have been a perfect time for Yarborough. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously it worked out, so you can't really say that Boone made a wrong decision. But just like I questioned why was Winquist on the team. At this point, I'm starting to question.
Why Yarbo?
Right. I mean, it's not like, especially since you knew Heel wasn't going to go long into the game, even if he didn't lose the strike zone. Um, but I don't know when they're going to use Yarborough. It's just
Yeah.
really weird to me.
No, I'm with you on that. It seems like a very odd thing because we thought Yarbo pitched. That's why we didn't
He's
see
pitched
him yesterday.
effectively. It's not like we're saying it's not like Winquist. We're saying the guy doesn't belong on the team. He
Hmm.
belongs in the major leagues. He's pitched well enough to be on the roster. I'm just
Hmm.
surprised he's not used unless they're thinking, they put themselves in this position. They're playing in the afternoon tomorrow, and now they're worried they're not going to. Well, they're not going to run Hendrick out there because he pitched 2 days in a row. They're not going to run Cruz out there. He pitched 2 days in a row. They're not going to run Hill out there because he pitched 2 days in a row. But
I
the
hope
idea was
Bednar.
if he would have pitched Yarborough, they wouldn't have pitched 2 days in a row.
That's
So
right.
it's an odd thing that they set up for themselves by not using Yarborough. But when you hear tomorrow, and I'm sure when they do the announcing tomorrow, when they're back on Yes, just so you know where to find them, when they're back
Okay.
on Yes tomorrow, and they say, well, Hill, Cruz, and Hedrick are not available because
Mm.
they pitched 2 days in a row. So the Yankees have a limited bullpen. This is with the position they put themselves in.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
What about
it worked.
Bednar?
They won the game. They needed to win the game, but it was an interesting way to do it. Um,
Why did Bednar pitch today? They were
Bednar
losing.
hadn't pitched. Bednar hadn't pitched like since he blew the game. A couple of days like against previous series. He hadn't pitched in 4 days, and once they brought him in, all right, I have
All
him
right,
on my
as long as
fantasy
he's
team.
not getting
I have him on my
tired. I
fantasy
mean,
team, and he got a vulture win, so I kind
yeah.
of like that. But he's available tomorrow. He only threw 8 pitches.
I just don't want to hear that, he's tired and then he can't pitch the day after tomorrow.
Well,
That's
if he pitches tomorrow, he's not going to pitch on Friday because it's
and
2 days in a
that's
row. But I don't have a
uh,
problem. I mean, he threw 8 pitches today, and he threw 7 for strikes. The
now
thing I wanted
this
to
would have
get
been
to about
interesting.
Heel, which was
Mm,
interesting, is in the first 3 innings he threw 39 pitches, 25 were for strikes.
mhm.
He finished the game He finished the game, Heel, at 83 pitches, which is 44 more pitches, and he only had 48 strikes,
Mm,
which means he stopped throwing strikes.
yeah.
And the problem with Heel, and they said it, I think they did a really good job in the broadcast, is they said that he pitches like he's a nibbler instead of overpowering people. But then he threw those two pitches, the one to Frazier and the one to Trout. And quite frankly, any major leaguer was going to hit them out because they were middle.
Mm,
You know, Trout's was thigh high and Frazier's was just above the knee, right over the middle of
mm,
the plate. I mean, 114 miles an hour was, and Ohape's home run too, was 114 miles an hour on a fastball right over the middle of the plate. The three homers he allowed. It just doesn't make any sense to me
mm,
what's going on there. And then if he's only throwing 95 miles an hour and he's throwing his changeup 92, that's not enough of a spread.
mm.
You know, because you could be ready if his changeup's not moving significantly, and it certainly doesn't move significantly as compared to what Cruz throws or what um, Duvall throws or what Warren throws.
Mhm.
It's if his changeup is not 5 to 7 miles an hour, there's no deception in it because you're
Yeah.
already geared up to hit a 95 mile an hour pitch. 93 mile an hour pitch is not that big a deal. It's not that. 92 is not that much of a difference. So as always, we're still worried about Heel and what's going to happen. And if he allows home runs when he throws his fastball over the middle, he's not going to throw the fastball over the middle, and he's not going to try and overpower people. Of course, Ohape is a good hitter, although this was his first homer of the year, and then Trout is just on fire.
I think that Heel is the odd man out at some point. I really don't see him.
Oh,
I don't think they love him. I mean, I think they do love him. They stick to this guy. I don't see it. I just don't. I think that I think he's inconsistent, and I could see him losing a spot at one point when one of these guys comes
well,
back,
he's. I
assuming they
think
do.
put it this way: if whoever comes back first, now they're talking about Colin. Did you hear yesterday's game? Cole and
How do you
Rodon
do?
are going to come back. They're talking about both of them right with each other. They're
Hmm.
both starting the rehab assignments this week. And they're talking about them both coming back at the beginning of May. Sorry, the end of May, middle to end of
Amazing,
May. And
amazing.
they're both going to, if they're both coming back, I still think Rodon's not going to come back as fast as Cole because of his history, not because I know anything, because I'm not
Mm,
Dr. Osti. But I think Rodon's going to come back afterward. But right now, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Heel is the odd man out.
yeah, yeah.
And we'll see what happens from there.
Here's a question I have for you. If Wells hadn't run through the stop sign,
It
apparently he had a
wasn't.
stop sign.
It wasn't a stop sign. They sent him.
No, he said he went on his own.
Oh, did he?
I
Oh,
saw him interviewed,
because
and he
I didn't see
said
the interviews. I don't get the post game show when I watch
the
the
interview.
MLB app.
He said, "Well, did you get the go?" He goes, "Oh no, I went on my own."
Good for
So
him.
maybe what he was saying was, "Oh, I was going to go no matter what." But let's just say he gave him the stop sign. Let's assume that.
Yeah.
So the Yankees go, and then the next guy who's up at that point after.
Wait, this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. McMahon was on deck, but
Okay,
he wasn't. Rosario was on deck. Even
okay.
against a righty, they were going to pull McMahon and put
Mm,
Rosario up there. What does that
mm.
tell you?
Because first of all, Rosario is better against left-handers or right-handers than what's his
Right,
name
but
is
if you're
against
going to
anybody.
But if you're
It's
going to
pretty
sit
bad.
McMahon against a right-handed closer who can't close, why? They clearly they don't have any confidence in the guy.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
bad.
wanted to talk about that because Rosario was in the on-deck circle.
All right, but
Uh,
let's just say Rosario would come up and pops up. They end up going to extra innings. Okay,
mhm.
who was going to pitch for them tonight?
Well, I think they would have let Bednar in because he only threw 8 pitches.
So you think Bednar would have come back for a second inning?
He would have come back for the next inning, and then after that, they might have had to go to a Yarborough because they had to play it like that. But I
It
don't
would have
know.
been
I
Yarborough
don't know.
and
But that's the other half of the
Pujol.
problem. I agree with you. That's the other half of the problem. It's one-run game, and you're using these guys for one inning, one inning, one inning, and you're going all
That's it.
Tony La
I mean,
Russa. What are you setting yourself up for if the game goes extra innings?
yeah.
It's the same thing as what are you setting yourself up for? What you need to have that multi-inning reliever. I don't blame them for not going to Blackburn. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
right? That's not wasn't an option, but there was no reason not to go to Yarborough. So the two things I wanted to talk about was the fact that Rosario was in the on deck circle for McMahon, which really to me says a lot that against a guy who's not very good right-hander, they were going to send up a guy who was throwing. By the way, all he was throwing was sliders. He wasn't throwing fastballs, so he's
That's
throwing pitches,
interesting.
breaking balls to a
This is who
right-handed
they
hitter.
have. Now they
They
don't
were going
have
to
a
let
closer.
McMahon get pinch hit for, and they pinch hit for Grisham with Goldschmidt.
Yeah,
And Grisham,
and a good
O'Neill,
name.
one of them said that Grisham's not going to be happy on the broadcast.
No, he's
And
not.
he
He had
looked
two
like he was
RBIs.
unhappy, but when he came back out later in the game, which clearly he went into the locker room and changed if he didn't shower and change because he was wearing a the blue Yankee hoodie thing. He seemed fine. He was engaged with everybody, but when he got pitch hit for, he was sitting by himself.
Good.
So
I,
that
I
was
like
another
that kind of
interesting move.
stuff.
I don't think it was plus the way Goldschmidt smashed that ball. That was a great play by the second baseman. But that's another interesting move that Boone made. I don't think that one was wrong. I just find it to be interesting. And will they lose Grisham over it? Especially,
I first of all, I don't care
no,
if
I
they lose
mean,
Grisham over it. But the bottom line is that he has to make these moves because, you know, Grisham, that is a beautiful spot for Grisham to come in and strike out. He'll strike out, try to pull him outside pitch, and he'll a slider. It's a good move. Use your assets. You have Goldie on the bench for a reason. For that reason, bring him up, bring him in. I don't have any problem with that. There aren't a lot of guys in this order that I wouldn't pick shit for.
well,
You
Grisham, he
know?
pitched hit for Grisham in the seventh, which
Hmm.
means in the top of the eighth and in the top of the ninth, that's when Grichuk was out on the field.
Yeah.
It
So
wasn't even like Richard
interesting.
was out there for one inning and they missed it. He was out there for two innings and O'Neill missed it.
All right.
But yeah, it was a good win for the team for sure.
I agree.
But there was a
All right.
lot of
Good win.
interesting things, and you know what? The moves that Boone made worked.
That's right. That's right. And that's great.
They were interesting. The bullpen one, I think, was. I'm not happy about the bullpen one, but that you can overcome that if Fried comes out and pitches 8 innings tomorrow.
We'll
Right.
see how that looks tomorrow.
Right.
It's exactly right. Now, 5 runs, 6 hits. What's going on, man? They gonna
Right.
start hitting? Are they
They
gonna
also
start?
had 5 walks, and they only struck out 6 times.
That's good, but are they gonna start hitting?
Well,
I
what
can't remember the
bothered
last
me
time this
though is
team.
in the first 2 innings they walked 3 times.
Yeah.
This guy, what I can't pronounce his name that pitched. Uh,
Korchanowicz.
yeah, Kahanowitz.
Korchanowicz.
Kahanowitz. Kahanowitz. I think
Yeah.
his bar mitzvah was a couple of years ago.
Ah,
Anyhow,
Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov.
he was having trouble finding the strike zone early in the game,
Yeah,
and,
and they didn't take
and then he
advantage.
found the strike zone. Plus, I found that the Yankees were swinging very early in the count, and against the guy who was struggling to find the strike zone in the first 3 innings, you had a whole bunch of guys in the fourth and fifth
Well,
inning
they
that
have to
that
be
swung
back
fast.
tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. I mean, these guys aren't built to be home, be at the
It's
office
one.
that
It's
early.
1 o'clock. There, they don't have to get there that early. There's no BP tomorrow.
They have a 1 o'clock game, so they got to be there at 10, 9:30 or 10, no question.
I'm sure
And
they'll be there. I don't think so. I think a day game after a night game like that, and it's also a getaway day, so you know they're gonna. I mean, this game took 2 hours and 23 minutes today.
where do
You
they
know,
go
it's
next?
what?
Where do
Yeah,
they go next? Kansas City?
Kansas City comes to them, don't they?
Oh. So it's not a getaway day. So,
It's getaway day for the Angels.
oh, who cares about them?
Yeah, but I mean, on a getaway day, these guys are going to swing left and right, which is great for Fried, right? Fried's
Hmm.
pitching tomorrow, right?
I think it's freed. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it'll be good for Fried tomorrow. These guys are going to be swinging and
Where is
everything, and he's can pinpoint them.
Yeah, it's freed. It's freed because then you have then on Friday night
Schlittler,
you have Schlett
yeah.
against Kansas
So
City. All right. Well, interesting night.
it's going to be interesting.
Okay. I'm
But it was
tired.
a good win.
Are we done?
Yeah, I think we are done. It's time to go to prison.
Time to go to prison. My
Yep.
friend, have a very nice night. A good game, good
Yes.
win. Let's see them do it again. Let's
Yes.
build on this.
And we'll see
We
each other
give credit where
tomorrow.
credit's due. All right. Take
All
care.
right. Good luck, sir.